Ladies and gentlemen, this is David Mirikitani with another episode of Mat Chat, brought to you by USA Wrestling, the national governing body for wrestling in the United States, and by Nike Wrestling. Go to athleteps.com for all of your Nike and USA Wrestling branded gear. Pleased to be joined today by the best, I wanted to get this title right, the best golf cart snow flying sideways, ridiculing in a Starbucks friend I have, the head coach of the University of Maryland, Alex Clemsen. What's going on, buddy?
Oh man, that's quite the title. I love it. I'm well, man. Thanks for having me on. What's happening?
Everything's good. Middle of season, Big Ten schedule. We're going to talk about all that stuff. But for people that don't know that story very quickly, when you were the associate head coach at Mizzou, I'd go down to state and you let me sneak in on a workout up there, and then we had some time to kill between the backsides and the finals. And it's literally 12 degrees and snowing sideways, and you borrowed the golf cart. We went to downtown Columbia, and I'm live streaming it. And then we get there, and you go, what do you have in your coffee? I go, I don't drink coffee. So you order some fancy coffee, and you go, and whatever, get a hot chocolate for the kid over here. So, which is good that I look like a kid. At my age, I'll take it. So a lot of stuff I want to talk about, but the thing that sort of made me want to get you on the show was, well, two things. I was at the Mizzou invite, saw your kids wrestle in person. And I want to talk about holding kids back, because obviously you did that last year, redshirted, kind of took it on the chin. But the other thing was, I saw the interview, and I don't know who streamed it or whatever, stuff goes everywhere, after the duel with Ohio State. And that's the Alex Clemsen I know, like the real, there's times you have to put a facade out. You're the head coach or the face of a program, but just contemplative, like, hey, we're getting there, come back. I don't want to misquote you, but come back. We're building. This is why the kids came to Maryland. So let's just start out with the support that the university has given you since you became the head coach.
It's really good. It's really strong. In terms of budget, assistant coach salaries, room upgrades for our kids to be able to train, travel, accommodations, meals, you name it. I think they've tried to do as much as they can. You think about the state of the world we've been in with the pandemic, and lots of budgets have been, frozen and slashed, and RAD continues to invest and provide for our kids and our program. So definitely feel like Damon Evans and his team at Maryland want to win in everything. And that includes wrestling. So I feel very fortunate for that. Very blessed. I know our guys feel that love. The alums have been really good too. They're involved, they're engaged, they check in, they show up, they give. It's been good on that front. And then the community has started to become engaged too. I think it takes time. You have to build relationships, and it kind of got stalled a little bit with the pandemic. We were stuck in our homes. And then, we didn't operate as normal for a while. And so it just, I think, probably delayed that a little bit. But the other thing too is, quite frankly, people want to see winning, and they want to see competitive fights, and they want to see exciting matches and talented athletes going out and doing high level things. And we're providing that on our side now as well. We redshirted the number 8 class in the country. 3 of those top 100 recruits are all ranked basically in the top 15 in the first coaches poll. I think there's a 12, a 15, and 18. So I'll say top 15. Sure. It sounds good, right?
Yeah.
But they're those 3 kids they're special, and they have 3 redshirt freshmen kind of develop the way they are. I think that's a testament to our staff and the plan and the patience and the process. And then that's helping, everybody. You see, we've kind of pulled little Freddie Miller along. That's Cal Miller. We didn't redshirt him. We threw him in.
Wait. Freddie Miller?
Yeah, he's got a couple nicknames. Both the Miller boys have a couple nicknames, but it seems like the one that's really stuck in our rooms either Freddie Miller or Freddie Mac. Yeah, and then Ethan goes by Beans or Beano Master or Whitey, and everybody's like, "Oh man, Whitey, that's that." Maybe in today's climate, and I'm like, "No, no, no, no. Have you seen the kid? He's like translucent. He wears the white singlet. You don't know where the singlet stops.
Thank God for the trim, right?
Yeah, the flesh starts. So his dad gave him that nickname, I think, when he was like, 8 or something. Same kind of deal. They had a white uniform on him, and it was like, Jiminy Christmas. All you see is this white blur out there. So yeah, those guys are great. And then you think about Jaron Smith, the 8th year senior, getting his 3rd degree, turned down the WWE to come back. And then we have other guys, filtered in there as well with Dom Solis and Michael North and so on and so forth. So it's taken some time, and we're still not where we want to be. And right now we're a little banged up. And so we had a great crowd show out for Ohio State. I mean, you talk about the community. The pictures, it's standing room only. It's a gym that seats like 2,200 people, and there wasn't a seat in the gym, and literally people were standing. There was a couple hundred people standing. So, and then we had mat side seats on the floor as well. So it was awesome to see that crowd. I didn't think our performance was awesome, unfortunately. And some of that is a credit to Ohio State and what Tom's, done with that program. So, but I said to our fan base, I said, man, just keep coming back. This is a young group that is leading a big charge here, and it's a big project, and they're all in, and our staff's all in, and our department's all in. You guys stay all in too, and this can be something that's pretty cool. And hopefully they got a taste of that, even though it was a kind of a rough night for us. I think they saw some good scraps. They saw some good battles. That Braxton Brown got a pin. There was some good individual stuff that happened in the duel. We just came up short a bunch, and that's dual meets, So overall, it's Maryland likes its wrestling, crab cakes and football, right? But it's maybe right now it's crab cakes and wrestling.
You touched on a lot of things. So first of all, we got to go back to the Miller. Shout out to Park Hill. Shout out to Greater Heights. Shout out to our guy Jason Keck, who just developed those kids and numerous other kids throughout the years. He's funny. Like, I'm friends with the Millers because of him. I'm friends-in-law with a lot of people that are good people. When we ran the KC duels down there, like, those kids were awesome. And, he told that story about Ethan with his teeth. And I'm like, well, like, I know his family can afford to get his teeth replaced. Like, if he goes, he literally doesn't care. He's that kind of kid. I'm like, that kid's going to win. Like, he'd just rather keep scrapping. So you said something else. Tony Roby was on the show last week. He's a guy I have a lot of respect for. And he said, I was talking about the culture, they had that theater, kind of like, you're part of that duel, the Virginia Tech Mizzou duel, they have them in the theaters. And he said, well, you said, like, look, you can build a culture, you can reach out to people, but at the end of the day, people like to root for winners. And, people like to root for the laundry. Like, that's my argument. Like, why, like, in Iowa can have 16,000 people at a duel, and then when they have the World Cup, 1,600 people show up. And no one would argue the wrestling isn't better. So you mentioned that. You also mentioned trusting the process. And, we've heard that sentence a million times, literally, since I think the first time I heard it sort of in the mainstream was when the GM from the Philadelphia 76ers was losing on purpose to get like the Joel Embiids of the world, which is like, that's not a process. It's just dumping games to get better talent. But I don't know if I've ever asked this question to anybody. So I'm actually really fascinated by the answer. When you get a kid, right, the goal is for a kid to be as a national champion as soon as possible, right? I mean, all else, there's other things, but I mean, that's what you want. You want the kid to win. It helps the program. You wear a suit on Saturday night, all the stuff that helps grow your program, right? If you're on ESPN on Saturday night, that's a game changer. Do you have like a whiteboard that says, like, look, these are the core skills that a person has to be good at? And right now, like, we think David is good enough in, let's say there's 15 skills, and then there's obviously a gazillion tangents off that, but we think he's good enough right now, 2 of them. We think he's adequate at 4 of them, and we think he's insufficient at 9 of them. And we're going to concentrate. And then is it like that? And then if so, do you concentrate on the 9 insufficient? Do you build on the good ones? Because sometimes if you can be really good at certain positions, you can hide flaws. You and me talk about wrestling, fighting, BJJ. I mean, all kinds of stuff. Like if you're really good here, you can hide this other stuff. Maybe that's a very complicated way of saying what is the process. But specificity is something I'm fascinated with, if you don't mind.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. So, we have 4 pillars of our program, and the first one's faith, and it has 3 layers to it. And it's basically, you have to have faith in the program, faith in the people, and faith in the process. And we talk about it a lot with our kids. And I do think there's a core group of skills that are required to be, to win at a high level. You have to be able to execute certain things. And that at times looks different for different people. Think about, your baseline defense for Ben Askren may look different than your baseline defense for Chris Bono, right? And
that's a perfect analogy of
right. And so, but both guys are going to need to be proficient at their baseline defense. And so I think what we try to do is we're never trying to fit square pegs into round holes, and we're taking things and we're saying, all right, we want guys to wrestle a physical pace. We want to be offensive. We want to be, tactically sound at, throughout a match, understanding strategy and moments in matches, having mat sense or awareness or whatever the case may be. We want to be tough on top. We want to get off the bottom quickly. You want your batting average on your go-to attacks to be, high percentage. I think those are kind of, some of the things we look at, and then how guys do it is it's going to be different. And I think I've been really fortunate to be a part of, guys that do it differently from, you think about, how Daniel Lewis was, effective compared to how maybe Chris Henrik was for us at Virginia. Those guys look a little different. They move a little different. They attack the sport a little different. But when you think about both of them, they're really proficient offensively early in a match. They were both really, really good on top, and they both could get off the bottom when they needed to. So, we're looking at specific areas for guys, and then doing a lot of individual work, which makes long days in the wrestling room.
Right.
It's great to come in and have corporate practice, and then a drill, or a lift in the afternoon, or a sprint in the morning and a corporate practice in the afternoon. But how much attention did your best guys get? And then how much attention did your developmental guys get? So we do a lot of individuals, and then we also do what we call pods, and we'll break the group up into 2, maybe 3 groups, sometimes 4. And we'll say, okay, today we're working on these skills, and we'll look at who needs what skill. And we'll say, all right, we're going to get through 2 or 3 of them, and you're going to be assigned accordingly. And sometimes guys stay in one pod, and it's like, no, dude, you got to get better at sprawling. And sometimes you might go through all 3. And so we're trying to, get into some of that minutia and individual specific growth. And then at times too, I'll throw another curveball in there. We've got a heavyweight that's not the biggest guy in the country, and he's an 8th year guy. So there are times where I kick him off the mat and I'm like, hey, go get a protein shake and lift.
Is he, if he stays 1 more year, is he your boss? Like, is he a provost? Is that how that works?
He should be. He should be. No, he can't stay 1 more year. I mean, right, this is it. And he's going to be in the WWE. He's going to be a superstar. So I'm excited for Jaron.
When you're talking about, and I want to get to the 4 pillars because I only talked about one of them, but at least so people know if they're building a program. We have a lot of high school coaches who watch this, but it was interesting what you said, because that's actually how my dad would teach a lot. He'd be like, okay, David, these 6 guys, we went to an open tournament, and these 6 guys really struggled at getting out of legs.
Yeah.
Okay? So you take these 6 guys and work on how to get out of legs with them. And then he would just coach the other, 30 guys or 25 guys, whatever it was. Or like, hey, Clemson's getting to the leg, but he keeps getting beat with the shin whizzer. Show him 2 or 3 ways to beat the shin whizzer. And like a lot of times that's what I would do is just go around like 10 minutes, pull a guy out, 10 minutes, pull a guy out, and then they'd work on it. The other thing that he stressed, and I'm interested if you agree with this, was like, I think at least partially you agree. Like you said, look, we're not square pegging, round holing. And in junior college, you don't have time to do that because you're supposed to coach them for a year, let them win, not use your best guy the second year, keep them on scholarship, and then send them off. But he was like, look, if you can't attack the left side of the body as proficiently as the right side of the body, it's very easy. A person can switch a lead leg or just, have a real hard down, like a lead hand down block. And unless you're really, really good, you're going to be neutralized. And you have to be able to ride something on the left side, something on the right side. You have to not only be able to get away, but have one dangerous move from the bottom. Like if you have to, like a, standing Peterson, whatever the case may be. Do you break it down like that, or do you look at it differently?
Oh yeah. We talk about, like offensively, like having a 1 and a 2. And it should be the opposite sides of the body. And for that reason, so a guy can't sit on it. And then I take it another step. We talk about being able to snap a lot. And I'm a big believer in using your hands and being physical and using a snap. We use snaps offensively, use them defensively. I use it when I think of it. I extrapolate it out like a pitcher. Think about a guy that's got a good fastball. He's probably got a really good fastball, but he also probably has an off-speed pitch, right, that he can throw in, whether it's a changeup or a slider, or, a get over curve. He's got something else that he can, keep you honest with. And the same thing with us. It's like you have to be able to stutter and snap, and you have to be able to fire. And then when the guy blocks drops his head and hands, you got to be able to come back and snap and get through the head and hands. And that was something I picked up from Bruce. Bruce used to always talk about 4 quadrants, right? An upper and a lower, right and left. And for me, I just don't have a great feel for an upper body. It's just, I don't know. I always blame my dad for this. It's funny you talk about your dad, coaching and things. And so my dad coached me until I was probably 14. Then he just stopped being my primary coach and just really became dad. And credit to him, he did a really good job of going from coach to dad. But as a little kid, like I wasn't allowed to hit a headlock. I wasn't allowed to hit a lat drop. I wasn't allowed to hit a cow catcher. Like he like if I did that to a kid in a match, he'd like make me like let him up. He'd be like, no, you got to double leg him. You got to single leg him. You got to high crotch. Like he was like, my kid's not going to win with junk moves. And I think maybe in the, late 80s, early 90s, maybe that's true. I think in today's wrestling, that's not true anymore. Right. That kids are so creative and they're so athletic and people can have different feels and the sport's just evolved and it continues to evolve and that's what makes wrestling great. But for me, I didn't have that feel and it was too late to kind of develop it. So I used the snap a lot and it was a way to attack the head and hands a little better to open my offense up. And I think as I've developed some, thoughts on coaching and playing around with guys like Levon Mays, Drake Howdeshell, just some guys that have some really good snaps. Spent a year with Manny Rivera, coaching at Virginia. He had one of the best snaps in college wrestling for a while. So we utilize our snap a lot to attack the upper quadrants. We got some guys that, have some upper quadrant stuff too. Jackson Smith has a foot sweep and has an inside trip and he can throw, and Jaron can as well. And the Millers have foot sweeps and Braxton Brown's good upper body. And so we're developing those skills is for sure. It's interesting you talk about the dangerous move on bottom, and it's something that we
I feel like that's ignored a lot. But like a Bo Nickel, like you wouldn't just like he stood up and a lot of guys just let him go because like they don't want to get put to their back. But go ahead.
Yeah. Ness was the same way.
Yes.
I think it takes a special kid to be able to wrestle like that. It's probably not for everybody, but it's good to have something in your back pocket because you never know. You need 2 and you got 7 seconds. You need 2.
You also don't know if you're special unless you try it once in a while. Like
no doubt, no doubt. And so as a staff, we battle that a lot because we're like, hey, get to your feet. And then Braxton Brown gets to his feet, rolls, flips his hips over, and pins the guy from Pittsburgh. Helps to help us win that duel. And we on the bus ride home, I heard about how great that roll was about 100 times. It's
like,
great.
No, pin him.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's exactly what it was. You can go back and probably hear it on the film. We're like, get your feet, don't roll. Oh, stick him. We're like, so, yeah, I think different things work for different kids, and I think that individual approach is really important. And I think credit to my dad again. Me having that approach was, I wrestle left-handed. I play everything else I do in my life is right-handed. My pop said, get in a stance. I put my left foot forward, and he said, I might have a southpaw here. Right? Like there's different.
There's an argument that's actually right-handed.
So it's interesting. I've heard this argument, and I think for anybody out there watching this that's in the younger developmental stage, I think I have a huge advantage if I would have gone into MMA, because my left hand is my jab hand, and my right hand is my power hand, and I don't have to switch my stance to be able to double leg you or to knock you out. I think it's a huge advantage. And yeah, I know what you're saying, because you should make contact with your backhand predominantly, and I always feel way more comfortable making contact with my right hand, which is, my dominant hand and everything else. So it's funny you say that. I've heard this argument.
Because I'm left-handed and I'm a righty lead, and so, yeah, but coaching a lot of MMA, it's exactly what you're saying. Like these guys, most of them are left leg leads, and, but like, if they're left leg leads boxing, then they were right leg leads wrestling. And you're like, you have to figure out either how to box left-handed or wrestle, the wrong lead leg. Yeah. By the way, I got one cheap shot for you. Okay. That's coming. The baseball analogy is really good for somebody who's a Cubs fan. That's it. That's my one. So, because it's a perfect analogy.
Good thing this is for USA Wrestling. Or
yeah.
I might have a couple choice words or symbols to put out there.
I know, but it's PG with the panda. You can get me when I see in person. So I got it coming. That's fair. And it's not too bad. It's not really harsh. So last time you and me talked, I say last time, maybe a year or two ago, we talked about season and the importance of dual meets and the importance of a dual meet national championship and dual meet. Yes. Okay. So this is good, because I know you have definitive views on this. So there's all different arguments, right? And I'm a big believer, unless you have a solution, don't go, here's a problem. Well, how do you fix it, Dave? I don't know. I'm just pointing out problems because that's what I do in my day. It's negative energy. I think the best idea is to have a dual meet championship either separately or based on the individual tournament. Don't screw up the NCAA individual, the tournament. It's unbelievable in terms of money making, profitability, notoriety. There's a rumor out there from a very reliable source I have that the NCAAs this year are going to be on ABC and not ESPN. So I have not broken that news, but this is it. And if you and me talk about leveling up and how you can level up in certain things. And sometimes there's small level ups. Sometimes there's private level ups, right? If you're on a diet, you lose 5 pounds, nobody knows, but ESPN, ABC is a major level up.
Yeah, I would say, that's game changing, right? That's ABC, puts on the Masters or the Daytona 500 or, you start to get more of the lay sports fan. And I think personally for continued growth, when you look at the numbers, from a demographic standpoint of people that watch the NCAA tournament, both in person and on TV, the demographics show that it's predominantly old white men. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? My dad's an old white guy. I love him. Our sport needs to reach more people. Our sport, wrestling's great for, I think the number one thing that makes wrestling great is it's literally for everybody. You can be a kid from, the rough streets of Tempe, Arizona, or now where
beat the street Chicago. Let's say
beat the street Chicago, right? And you can go on to have a great, career through wrestling. You can be a guy with one leg and win a national championship. You can be a phenomenal fast twitch athlete like Jordan Burroughs, or you can be a guy that's creative and unorthodox like Ben Askren.
Or you can be a woman. Or you can be a woman now.
I was getting there. Why you do that to me? Why you do that?
Sorry.
Right? So, and it's awesome. And so I think for our sport to really continue to grow, it needs to be seen and appreciated by more people. I also think that, and I saw this firsthand when I was at Missouri, my first year when we beat Iowa in Carver for really the last meaningful national duels championship. And it was 1 versus 2. The field had all the best teams in it: Ohio State, Cornell, us, Lehigh. I mean, the team that wasn't there was Penn State, but that was the year Cale kind of sat a few guys and redshirted a few guys and reloaded, and they were good that year. They just weren't the Penn State that's
right. No, that's fair.
The juggernaut. But everybody else was there, and 1 versus 2 met, and it was a phenomenal duel. We won a 5-5 split with a bonus point, and the amount of attention that match got around the university and around the state and the region was tremendous. And it was obviously wrestling people loved it, but so many non-wrestling people, and it's because it was Missouri versus Iowa. It wasn't, Brandon Sorensen versus Drake Hadashow, right? One of the featured matchups, or Thomas Gilman, Alan Waters. Those matchups are great, and wrestling fans love those matchups at the NCAA tournament, and they're awesome. But if we really want people that aren't wrestling fans to watch wrestling, I think it's dual meets, and it's because it's school versus school. You don't have to know individuals; you just know that it's Iowa, Missouri. I also think
I'm rooting for the guy with the big red M on his singlet.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The other thing too is they're made for TV. It's a 2-hour time slot, right? And
with commercial breaks.
Exactly. You can have commercial breaks, and you can sell ad revenue, and you can tell a little story here and there, and it almost makes too much sense and I don't know why we're not doing it. I think the biggest thing is people are resistant to change, right? And then we have this crown jewel, the individual tournament, and nobody wants to mess with that. And I think that's noted and probably shouldn't be messed with. I want to throw a solution out for you. Okay.
All right, let's go. Let's get it.
Okay. So you can't start wrestling practice. Okay. In wrestling practice until after the new year, right? Can't have competition until February 1. You go through like the end of March. You have that individual championship. Take 2 weeks off. Come back. You have a dual meet championship. You get a 2-pound allowance day 1, and you can't go down a weight though, right?
Okay, so let me say it back. So practice starts Jan 1. Competition starts Feb 1. It's only a 6-week season?
No, February and March through March. Well, yeah,
6
you might have
weeks.
to move it up a little bit. Yeah, 6 weeks. Yeah, so you got to tweak the date a little bit.
So let's say
maybe
2-week season, and do the conference tournaments in April, the individual tournament middle of April. We're away from the Final Four weekend. 2 weeks later, like in May, where the only thing you're going up against is the College Baseball World Series.
Yeah, I don't even know if that's fully started yet, has it?
No, but just there's
and you're going to be up against maybe some NHL and NBA playoffs, but
yes, that'll affect
NFL,
arenas.
NFL football's done though, for time slots, and baseball is not in full swing yet. Major League Baseball. The
Cubs will still be in the race then in May. They'll still be in it.
Are you a Cardinals fan?
No, I'm a St. Louis guy. I just teasing you, like it just so.
Yeah,
I like that.
So my timing's off a little bit, right? I just shot from the hip. So here's the thing: I want to get away from a 2-semester sport. It's stupid. We are stupid. We are a dumb set of humans. And I say that I mean wrestling people, like in general. We go to gyms for weigh-ins at 8 a.m. So it means we're in a gym at 7, sometimes earlier, and then we get out of that same gym at 10 o'clock at night, and then we come back and we do it again. You think about Midlands or Southern Scuffle or Cliff Keen Invite. any open you go to, it's a one-day thing. It's the same thing one day. It's so stupid. We're stupid. And it just, that's not fan friendly either.
Right.
Again, yeah, wrestling people they're going to hear this. I know there's going to be a core, like old school wrestling people. They're going to be like, this Clemsen, he doesn't know. And it's like, yeah, get the soccer mom who doesn't know crap about wrestling to go sit in a gym for 10 hours. She ain't doing it. So guess what? Her kid's not either. And that's not good for our sport. We need to make it more fan friendly, more accessible. And because it is the most inclusive sport literally on the planet. It's the most inclusive sport on the planet. And I go back to USA Wrestling. You had this poster back in the day, and it was Joe Gonzalez, the 105 pounder, and Bruce Baumgartner, the heavyweight.
Tim Vanny. I just want to give a shout out.
Oh, yeah. It was him?
Yeah.
That's who it was? Okay. So you know the poster, right? And
yes.
It says anybody can wrestle. And it's, man, it's, and that's awesome about wrestling. So.
Yeah. So first of all, one of my least favorite phrases in the world is, well, that's how we've always done it. And you and I have these conversations like, well, how do you change, right? Like, how do you take big shots? Like, like the Hall of Fame duels we did, that's a big shot, like trying to run border ball, big shot, building Maryland from scoring no points at the national tournament to being in the top 25 in duels. That's a big shot. And it's not going to change if you just keep doing everything the same. Like that's literally the definition of insanity. So I do respect the thought. I'm on your side. I would like to add a dual meet championship. Okay. So I respect the idea we should not do anything to screw up the tournament that's the third weekend of March, right? Like, and somehow keep team score. My thought was just take the top 16 teams. Now I know there's a whole different argument of, well, the 16th best team in a tournament may not be the 16th best team in a duel. And I totally get that, but it's at least
but Dave, the 5th best team in the tournament may not be the 10th best team in a duel.
No, of course. I mean, I'll do the math real quick for people. You could have 5 national champions on your team and literally nobody else and win nationals, and you'd go 0-14 in duels. So like, I mean,
maybe.
Well, you'd lose every duel.
Oh, you're saying because you literally have nobody else. You just have 5 guys.
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
And yeah. I mean, that's for sure. And I would make the argument if you got a guy scoring at least 100 points plus bonus, you're going to win the tournament most year.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you could probably make the argument with 6, but then you could argue you might win duels if you pin everybody. It's a little tricky. But anyway, the only reason I say 16 is the next most logical one is 32. And then that becomes a lot more expensive, for somebody to get behind it. 24, you could do it where the top 8 seeds get a bye, blah, blah, blah. I mean, anybody's run a tournament kind of knows the math, what numbers work and don't work. But I totally get it. Now, something else I want to talk to you about, like you and I talked off air, and I'm not going to disclose that, but like you, like every other team in the country, do not have all 35 guys a 100% optimal health level. I don't think that's breaking any news or disclosing anything. So that's just normal. But how do we fix forfeits? And what I mean by that is this. I don't know, so this is the analogy I make, and you can now make fun of my basketball and football knowledge like I teased you about your baseball knowledge. To me, basketball is like wrestling. Like everybody will wrestle everybody in the regular season. And basketball, everybody plays everybody because you're going to be one of the 68 teams that make the tournament. But because Maryland playing St. Louis, let's say I'm the Duke coach, whatever, it doesn't really change whether you get in or out of the tournament. It just changes what seed and what region you're in. The numbers aren't as good. The basketball tournament is unbelievable ratings for 3 weeks, where football, I think they're going to screw it up. I think going to 12 is going to actually screw it up in some ways. They're chasing money, which I get. But like right now, Alabama playing Tennessee was a huge game because it sort of knocked Alabama out. And so like if duels changed, maybe you make the top 16 teams based on the dual meet ranking from a consensus of media people that we actually trust or something. But now just sitting a guy for the sake of sitting a guy, what?
That's how many media people I trust.
You don't trust me?
It was a joke.
Or is like a panda a different species? Like, what does that mean there? Okay, but I'm saying like some consensus, okay? Like I would argue there's people, when I did the rankings every week, I would argue I tried really hard to be as accurate as possible. And when guys would call in and you would text me like, hey, did you see this? I'm like, yes. And I put your guy here because of this, this, and this. It's arguable he's in this range. I'm sorry he's at the bottom end of the range, but I thank you for, even before we were friends, like, thank you for notifying me, right?
Yeah.
But some version of that. Let me go back to my question. How do you make duels more meaningful and reduce forfeits? And the argument I'm getting from coaches are it's not broke. Like, this is just how it is.
So, okay. So back to the original thing, like the number one pet peeve that I hate is two statements, and they're basically the same, right? Either it's not, we don't do it like that, or we've never done it like that, right? Same thing. It's like, well, great. Did you guys win everything? Like, did you guys dominate? Like, maybe we should do something different. And I think our sport isn't exactly on ABC, right? And okay, we get the national tournament on ABC. Did we get any duels on ABC? Did Fox carry any duels? Did Fox carry the Midlands finals? Did CBS carry the scuffle final? Like, we want to have more things for wrestling. Well, we got to grow the sport. And so dual meets are the best way to do it. Anybody that says different, they're lying. They're lying. They don't like the argument, so they just are ignorant and they lie. I'll push back on the 12 that will make football less exciting. It's going to make more games knockout games. It's gonna create, because now you're fighting for 12 spots, and there's going to be more teams that have a chance, right? Utah's going to have a chance.
Yeah.
Utah's going to have a chance, right? Alabama would have been in this year. Anybody that thinks Alabama wasn't maybe the fourth best team, did you see what happened to a couple of those? I mean, TCU got railroaded, right? They probably don't beat Ohio State if Ohio State doesn't have two injuries during the game, right? If Ohio State just has Junior out there, Harrison Jr., they probably win. And that's not a knock to TCU, right? I mean, they're a great ball team. And what that guy did in year one, and phenomenal. So I think there's enough football programs out there that are investing so much money, and there's so much TV. There's going to be so much buzz. I think 12 is a great number because I think it rewards the top 4 seeds not have to play. You get a bye.
Right.
I think it's the right number. I think if they'd have gone to 16, it's like, well, what's the point of being top 4? Right? Because now guys you're going to be trying really hard to be in that top 4. I think for dual meet championship, 32 is probably the right number. Just because you look at our conference right now, okay? 14 teams in the Big Ten. 14 teams are in the top 32. And that's the truth. And we've been as high as 15. Every one of the 14 teams have been ranked. So if you don't have enough teams in, you don't get a true reflection of who the best schools are. And when you look at the non-conference record for Big Ten teams compared to everybody else,
I saw that chart. Yeah, I saw that.
It's pretty dominant. Credit to a good Campbell team that beat us, though, right? So,
sure.
Again, that's what makes, I think, wrestling or college athletics fun. I think one of the ways you fix the forfeit thing is what we did, given red shirts 5 dates. We messed up, though. We should have given it to all red shirts, not just true freshmen. And I'll give you an example right now. We've been sitting Jackson Smith. He's nicked up. He's banged up. I don't have another guy that's ready to wrestle in the Big Ten. I got a true freshman. I love Larry Vola. He's not there right now. It's not fair to put him out against Gavin Hoffman and Cam Caffey and Bronigal and the plethora of guys in our league.
The Max Deans and the Warners and everybody else that's good at that.
It's not fair. It's not. And that's not what's best for Larry Vola's development. Maybe in a year or two he'll be different. We have a good kid right now at 65, Gavin Bell, who was a starter for us last year, who's redshirting this year. I wish I could put him in, right? It would give me flexibility. He's long and he wrestles a little different style. I could probably run him up to 74 even. And that might give me some flexibility to run Dom Souls, who's a strong kid, up to 84. You get where I'm going with this, right?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, I could bump Kevin McCosey to 97 or Chase Milnick to 97, and I could fill a hole that way. The other thing that I think we need to do is we need to fix the weight descent plan. Um, if I bump a guy up, for example, I bumped Kevin Michael Shork up last weekend at Illinois to 57. North was a little nicked up, and now we've got Ethan Miller with the flu. Well, he's my only 49 pounder, so I can't pull him back down. It just you're telling me that the preposterous thing is what the NCAA wants to pretend, that a 49 pounder walks around at 152 pounds all week. No, they don't.
Nobody
No,
does.
they don't. No, nobody does. And it's silly for us to even pretend that. It's silly. So the fact that we don't let guys go up one weight and then come down the next week, it's really asinine. And maybe we should say, hey, you gotta weigh in 2 pounds under, right? So if you wanted to go up to 57, you gotta weigh 50. You can't weigh more than 55 if you want to go back down. Maybe we could put something like that in. But that would help also when you get midseason shifts and things, that you can pull a guy back down one weight class week to week. It's completely safe. Kevin Michael, he's a great example. He's a kid that, probably walks around at 155, 156. And then as the week goes along, he's 153, 151, and then he makes it, right? So he made 149 pounds, and we knew that North was a little nicked up. I was going to give him a rest. And so I said, hey, let your weight come up. And he's like, well, how much? And I'm like, just let it come up so you can be as effective as possible at 57. If something happens with Ethan, we'll cross that bridge when it comes. Hopefully it doesn't. Sure enough, right? Sure enough, he's got the flu. I can't pull him back down. And that's silly. He was eating and drinking before weigh-ins because, his weight has gotten used to descending. And so, at weigh-ins, he was like 155 pounds or whatever after our pre-match workout. And so he ate his sandwich and drank his Gatorade and stepped on the scale at 156.6. You're telling me that kid can't make 49 this Friday? Silly. And anybody on that rules committee or safety committee or whatever, I hope you guys hear this. You guys are silly.
So, I think it'd actually be a good thing for you to submit,
I have. They won't even listen to it. I've had offline conversations. I've sent emails. They're just like, they won't even, they can't wrap their head around it. Well, like, you guys are lying to yourselves. You guys are, I can't believe they're the guys in charge. So
it's Candyland, like you said, that
it's Candyland.
If you're 184, that you just walk around at like 184. Like it's the old days of you weighing 210 on Monday are probably gone. Okay.
For sure.
So like that, and that used to be a thing. I mean, I used to cut like crazy every week. We all did, because it's 5-hour weigh-ins and you wring yourself out and you have a rehydration process. Clearly not healthy, long-term. This is a much healthier way to do it. So I see your point. You mentioned something about duels that I don't think hardcore wrestling people think about enough. The one thing you mentioned, which I think is dead on the nuts accurate, is it's Iowa versus Missouri, in that duel you were talking about. Like, I still remember that because that was the Waters match where he got reverse slammed at the end and all that other stuff. And
they called Waters for the slam.
And by the way, we had a point spread, and I picked it, and I was like, oh, that happened. I mean, that point caused me to lose my bet. It went the wrong way. But anyway, I digress. But the other part of it is this, and I don't think wrestling people, like hardcore wrestling people, think about this. Like, when you go to the NCAAs, right? Like, front side match, first round of 32, let's exclude the pigtail. Round of 32 is worth either 1, 2, 2.5, or 3 points. Okay. Like, that in itself is goofy. Okay. Then the second round, same thing. Now the quarters are worth 7, 8, 8.5, or 9. And then the semis are worth the same. And then the finals are worth 4, 5, 5.5, or 6. If you're trying to explain that to your, let's say, like your best friend that happens to be in Tulsa this year, that doesn't know anything about wrestling. Like, they think wrestling's cool. I know people that know nothing about wrestling, but if you tell them you wrestle, like, well, that was probably hard. They respect the fact, oh, you wrestled. Like, you're at one point in your life, you were fairly tough, So, but to explain that, like, I also think that dual meet scoring, at least it's easier. I still think it's dumb that if you beat me by 1 second of riding time, that's the same as if you beat me 7-0 and beat the crap out of me. I think it should actually just be an accumulation of point differences, and like a pin should be worth 20 or 25. And I actually think that would increase wrestling a lot more action, because like if you're up 10 and I know I can't score, and you know you're not going to work hard enough to get to 15, everybody just hangs out. Where if 11 or 12 made a difference, there'd be more wrestling. But I think people need to reevaluate this. Like, I'm on USA Wrestling's airwaves, okay? So it behooves me to say good things about USA Wrestling. But in this case, it's what I actually think, okay? When the United States won the World Championships, they came back and they made changes to the qualifying process. Most people would never change something if they won. Like, you know, like,
yeah.
You know, and I give them credit for doing that. And I wasn't even a part of USA Wrestling then. So, like, I was on the I was at track. But just like if you guys have, I know you, if you have 3 national champions next year and take 4th at nationals, you're still going to tweak something. You're going to find something that didn't work the way you wanted it to work. Or you're going to go, somehow everything worked perfect and we only took 4th. We need to figure something else out. Like, I know that's how winners think.
Yeah.
So I'm fascinated, you know, by the solutions to all this stuff.
Well, you know what's interesting, Dave, is they say, you know, don't mess with the individual tournament, but we did. We messed with it, what, 15 years ago or whatever, 10, 12 years ago, when we changed the qualifier system. And now it's way more likely that the best 33 kids, or at least a lot closer to the best 33 kids, get in than they did before. Because when I was in school, right, you just allot the EWL 30 qualifiers or 33 qualifiers, whatever it was, right? It was always around like 32, 34. And then every weight would just get 3, and then you'd have 4 wild cards. Well, that's stupid. Good kids would get left home at 149, and then a crappy kid would go at 165. That doesn't make any sense, and that's not the way we do it anymore, right? So we have adjusted the individual tournament through the qualification system.
And seeding. And seeding.
And, you know, actually, that's my idea. You're welcome, everybody. Everybody can hate me. I pushed Brian when he was on the committee to seed to 33
then
guys.
I will take co-credit, because we were the first ranking service to rank 25 guys and to rank 33 guys.
It makes sense, right? It's like you shouldn't wrestle all year to be the 3 seed. And this happened to me twice in my career. I was my freshman year, I was probably the 13th or 14th seed. They only seeded 12, right? And then my junior year, probably pretty similar. And then actually my senior year, it gets even better. Somehow I have 2 losses. I'm the conference champ, and they seed me 7th. Okay, that's cool. You hose me. Oh, congratulations. The only non-seeded guy you lost to, you drew first round.
Yeah.
That was my draw at NCAAs. No, I won, right? I shouldn't have lost the first time to the guy, but I did. And that's asinine. That kid then wrestles back from that loss all the way to the round of 12. Right.
Right.
So you think about the path that I had, and as the 7 seed, that wasn't very rewarding. And then the path that boy had, that probably was the 13 or 14 seed. Not very rewarding either. So seeding it out properly it makes sense, right? The NCAA basketball tournament, we've already referenced how great it is. They seed 68 teams.
Yeah.
I know they say, oh, it takes some of the excitement out of the first round and stuff. No, it doesn't. There's still upsets. There's still craziness. The atmosphere is electric. I tell people all the time, if you're a sports fan, like if you're a guy that you want to see like a World Series game, and you want to see a Daytona 500, and you want to see a Masters, and et cetera, you get your ass to an NCAA wrestling tournament.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It's a spectacle. And, you know, if I decide to change careers 10 years from now, I get fired tomorrow, whatever, I'll be at the NCAA wrestling tournament, because it's one of the greatest sporting events ever. And I've been to a lot of, you know, different high-level events. And obviously I'm biased, but man, it's fun. And people that take my advice and go, they're like, holy cow. And they go all the time.
Yeah. Right.
So
It's awesome.
we can continue to make our sport better, and we should. And I think tweaking our season to get it to a one semester sport, better for the athletes, better for coaches, and then also adding a dual meet championship. I hope we get there someday. I hope we get there sooner than later.
You will know the person I'm talking about this, but the grossest example of why they should have, of somebody that got hosed on when they only seeded the 12, was Neil Ersman from Oklahoma State. When he's the head coach of Little Rock, obviously you know that for people that are watching or listening. He drew David Taylor the first round because they only seeded the 12. Yeah. And you know who I was friends with at the Oklahoma State coaching staff, and the seeds come out, and he calls, and I know it is, and I'm like, hello, and he just, the first thing out of his mouth is a curse word, and where he should have been seated probably 13, 14, 15, 16, somewhere in there, and he's going to draw 16, 17, 18, 19, or 20. Yep. So that part, to me, that made so much. I actually asked people years ago, I'm like, if they have a formula, why can't you just apply the formula to everyone?
And so that's what I said. That's what I said to Brian. I said, so when they seeded to 16 originally, or I think they went to 17. I thought they were going to go to 33 that year. And he's like, he came back from the committee. He's like, Alex, I couldn't get it done. He's like, I tried, but just getting to 16 or 17 was hard. And so, they fight. You can, I say fight. There's discussions. There's argument when for seeds based on if you're within so many points. If you're not within so many points, you can't argue the seed.
Basically tiers.
Yeah. So, but then once they get past 16 or 17, I don't know which one it is. It's just wherever you land on the algorithm or formula, whatever it is, that's where you get. It's still better than a blind draw. It's still more accurate. It's still more fair. And that's what we should be doing. We should be rewarding these kids. Every match counts. Every match is important. And college wrestling is in such a good place right now. There are so many good coaches at so many different schools. Kids are going to Oregon State to wrestle for Chris Pendleton, and they're coming to College Park to wrestle for Alex Clemsen. And I don't know if that was happening 6 or 7 years ago. And not as much as it is now. And you could throw Neil in, right, with an upstart at Little Rock. He's got a tough team. These kids scrap hard, and you could go down the list to programs that are
doing what you did, like redshirting a lot of those guys and taking
and I mean, he literally started from scratch.
Right.
I was fortunate enough. I got an opportunity to visit with the Little Rock people and Mike Hatcher and those guys down there. Those guys are it's really cool what they did and for our sport. And he's doing a great job, man. It's a huge undertaking, and he's attracting kids, and that's good. It's really good for our sport. And so more reason why we should continue to grow and give programs opportunities to be seen with a 32 team field for an NCAA dual meet championship.
Well, hopefully the dual meet thing happens down the line. I see cause for optimism. Like if you look at it historically, okay, like you said, they changed the allocations, gold, silver, bronze. So now it's more fair. They went from 12 to 16 or 17 to 33. So if you're trying to be optimistic, if you're trying to give the people in charge credit, it's like, look, they've been adaptable. They've been willing to grow. They've been willing to listen. They've been coachable.
Anthony Holman, I didn't mean to cut you off, Dave. No. Anthony Holman's done a phenomenal job with our sport under his leadership for the championship. I mean, he dude's awesome. I know he's being pulled in some other directions. I hope he continues to stay with wrestling. If he doesn't, I hope he has a strong say in who replaces him, because he's done a great job for college wrestling in our championship event and what goes into it. So I hope they take the next step.
I will close this out by telling you something that I didn't tell you. At the Mizzou invite, I brought a guy with me who ended up medaling at the Jiu-Jitsu World Championships, and trying to get him to understand the importance of wrestling, the importance of hand fight. He's like a doctoral student at WashU, so he's clearly smart enough to process it. But just, you can talk about wrestling, and then you get around Division I wrestling, and it's just, you go from theoretical to practical. And we had dinner that night. We're eating barbecue, and I said, "What'd you learn?" Because he got to literally sit. You saw where Jason Keck and I were, and he was sitting between me and that corner. So he got to hear like guys like you for 7 hours. He goes, well, I learned, he goes, the guys that were in the winner's bracket hand fought, and the guys in the loser's bracket, they just hung on each other's heads, which I thought was really interesting. So there's an interesting observation, but he goes, those guys from Maryland, he goes, every single time, win or lose, they had something positive to say to their guy when they came off the mat. I said, I will pass that along. He goes, you know,
That's
those
really
guys.
cool.
He goes, you know those guys? I go, bro, I know all those guys. But, so I wanted to tell you that. And please say hi to, was it Freddie Mac and Beans? Do I got their nicknames right?
Yeah, you got it.
Okay.
You got it. I'll tell them. It's interesting observation, and it's something that I'll definitely share with our staff. It makes me, really proud to hear that somebody picked up on it, and hopefully that continues to permeate through our program, and our kids feel it, and it helps them. We exist to help kids, plain and simple, and it's not just in wrestling, right? I take what I do really seriously, and I know our staff does as well. And we just want to help kids reach goals and win. And when I say win, I mean win in everything. And that's why you come to a school like Maryland, because the degree you get and the lessons you learn and the opportunities you have are really special. And it's cool to see somebody else feel that and pick up on it. And I appreciate you sharing that with me. It made my day.
Makes up for the Cubs statement. I'm back to level playing field. You always end with a compliment, so I'm okay. Like my mom taught me that communication skills. So, if it works out, man, come to St. Louis this year when the Cubs are in town. I'll take care of you.
That'd be great. That'd be great.
So I will see you in Tulsa. Best luck to the crew. Say hi to everybody for me. I always enjoy visiting with you, like up at Fargo and stuff like that. Hopefully we'll get to do it again, my man.
You got it, boss. I appreciate you having me on.
Thank you, everybody, for watching and listening. We'll speak to y'all next week.